Look at these note cards. I'm so impressed.
These note cards.
With a blue gel pen?
Yes, exactly. What year is it?
I don't know.
2005?
I wish. Actually, I don't.
Hi, I'm Ellie, and this is Cool Friends, where I talk to the creative, amazing people in my life about the work that they do, the projects that they're doing, and how they got there. So this is my friend, Carolyn Crouse.
Hello.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, big question. I am a mom and I work in strategy. I'm from Florida originally, and then spent a lot of time on the East Coast and moved out here about like 3 or 4 years ago in LA. Yeah, I work in strategy, which means like I lead copywriters and I lead strategy for things like working on the LA 28 Olympics right now, which is crazy.
Fun.
Yes. And lots of like big corporate rebrands, which like some people think are cool. Some people think it's like soul-sucking job. I tend to like really find it interesting. And yeah, I became a mom 2 years ago, and I'm a registered trained birth and postpartum doula. And I love that work too. It's like kind of the antidote of just working on the computer all day, very hands-on, emotional work. Yeah, I could go on and on, but that's a primer.
Amazing. We're going to get into all that. But first, I feel like we have to talk about, we have a very cute meet cute, you and I.
Yes, we do.
We do.
We really do.
We really do. It's like one of my favorite stories. We were traveling to Italy for our friend Nahama's wedding.
Yeah.
Shout out Nahama.
Yes.
And we weren't traveling alone. You're with your mom.
Which is also hilarious.
Yes. I also think like
Brought my
normalize
mom to a wedding.
Normalize taking your mom to a wedding.
Yeah. William couldn't go. I was like, I knew Nahama's personality was such that she'd be like, fuck yeah, bring your mom.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. And I was with all my work friends, but they chose to stay in another hotel. I was like, I'm going to stay in the nice hotel. Like, we're only in Italy for so long. And so I remember like the first night there was like the welcome party and everyone came back and we were all hanging out. And I was like, wait, this girl's amazing. We're going to be friends.
She's with her mom.
Yes.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like, yeah, just needed to see my mom. And I was like, do you want to go to this wedding with me?
Yeah.
So she didn't actually go to the wedding because that would have been, I was like, I'm not going to add a seat for you.
Yeah.
We were all on a boat, on a yacht together. That was crazy.
Was your mom on the yacht?
Yeah, jumping off in her one piece. It was awesome.
I totally missed that. I think I was too hungover that day.
Oh my gosh. Understood. Yeah, it was like holes of spaghetti and jumping off. It was cool.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's honestly my favorite meeting story of a friend too.
It's great.
Like, I'm locking in. I'm
100% for sure. So my first question is, when are we going back to Italy?
Perfect question.
Yes,
I wish more people would ask me that.
Okay, great. After we move to Pasadena together, we're going to Italy.
Let's
celebrate.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Sign me up.
Yeah, live together. I do want to normalize friends living together.
Yes.
I want to normalize an unconventional life and like all find a sick Father of the Bride house in Pasadena. Live in. So
I love that.
We'll follow up on
I think there is something special about like living in my 20s in Chicago when all my friends were in like a 3-block radius.
Yeah.
And I think we need to find more ways to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Commune style.
Done.
Okay, great.
Yeah. We already have follow-ups.
Perfect. So I think a lot of people might be wondering, like, how do you find yourself in strategy? I would imagine, like, what did you go to school for? How did you find yourself in this career path?
Yeah. I went to school for journalism, but it's pretty common. I mean, strategy is a very strange place that a lot of people land in. I think some people study like anthropology or philosophy or psychology and end up there. Or honestly, just like English. And some people like start as writers and end up as strategists. Some people start as strategists and like learn how to write. But yeah, I studied journalism and I moved to DC and thought I was going to work in policy. And I was like, these people are, I don't want to be near these people on both sides. I was like, nope, don't love this. So I met a woman and she was like running a really interesting kind of print magazine at the time, doing something kind of similar to what you're doing here and now, and talking to interesting friends that were doing kind of like startup-y things in DC at the time. This was the time when like Sweet Green started in Georgetown. So we like hopped to those guys and like started to understand the landscape of startups and what they needed from a design and a creative perspective, and started a small agency in DC. And then we brought it to Brooklyn and did that for about 7 years, had like a small, 10-person shop. And that was like my foray and intro into the agency world. So I didn't like rise the ranks through kind of like the corporate strategy route, which was always like something I felt like imposter syndrome around until recently. And now I'm like, oh my God, no, that would never have been my path anyway. And then I probably like experienced early career burnout, which is embarrassing. But you know, girl boss era.
It comes for all of us.
You know, it was embarrassing. It's bad.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
We
learned a lot.
Close to the sun.
Too close to the sun.
Yeah.
Woo! Became a doula, which was helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of had a moment of just like pulling back, taking stock of everything in my life. I was head of brand at a maternal healthcare company called Robin. That's out here. Shout out Alex here. She's the best. She like helped bring William and I over here, and they're doing great. But I realized like, okay, I'm an agency gal through and through. I'm that absolute psychopath that needs to do like many things at once. So I joined Red Antler, which is an agency based in New York. Worked here in LA for them, and I was like, okay, did that, and then yeah, now I'm at Koto. So I don't think you asked for the professional lineage, but I just gave it to you again.
No, thank you. I love that. What advice do you have for someone? You're talking about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for someone who maybe doesn't necessarily have all the check marks on their resume or doesn't have the X, Y, and Z steps to a certain role or thing that they want to do?
I think there are elements of imposter syndrome that are good in the sense that it just means you care. But there's that's 10% of it, and the rest is so bad, especially for women. But I would just say as long as you're continuing to impress yourself, who cares what other people think? And if you're in this place and you're like, wow, this is new, and you don't know a lot, but I'm growing. I feel like I'm starting to understand. Just get to the place where you feel like you at least understand what's going on. And once you understand, you're not an imposter. Mm-hmm. And even if you don't understand, that's all of us at some point. You think about CEOs of Fortune 100s, they're met with challenges every day that they don't understand because they haven't gone through it. And they just ask people around them who do know to do the job or to help them understand. And that makes them a successful person, So I'm it's always going to be part of our lives and careers. And so if you attach yourself to that mentality, you're just going to kind of wilt instead of just be like, oh no, it's actually fine that I don't know about something. I'm just going to ask someone else.
Yeah.
And they'll be flattered you ask them that you think that they know something, and they'll tell you, and then you'll learn,
I like to do the thing when I'm new to a project or a room. I'm always I'm going to ask the dumb question.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, when you ask the question, someone's like, I actually was wondering that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just by taking that pressure off, you create that room that honestly safety for people just to ask questions and not pretend they're an expert.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what is it about strategy and kind of problem solving in the strategic realm that you like?
Problem solving is a good word for what I love about it. I like working with a creative team. I love creative problem solving. It's okay, this company wants to be more like this. How does that embodied in a symbol? What new thing could we make or mine from history or philosophy that kind of captures what they're trying to feel like? And so it's actually kind of a somatic problem solving role to be in strategy. You're just understanding how people feel and what they want to feel more of. And I love that. And then, I also just I've grown to being a manager and just helping people figure out their own kind of career paths and what they're good at. And to be able to foster someone else's strengths is really, I don't know. I love it.
I think that's huge because there are a lot of people who are good managers and a lot of people who are managers. And
correct.
They're not necessarily the same thing.
Correct. Yes. No, correct. And to be fair, I was probably a terrible manager my first time being a manager.
Sure.
I think and that's where imposter syndrome can be terrible for people, because if they know that they've been there before and then they've grown now, you just kind of always think about the experience where you weren't your best, but that ain't great. That's not going to serve you.
Yeah, for sure. I guess going off of that, when you're working on a project, how you were saying it's a somatic experience, how do you stay inspired? Where do you look? What do you reference that brings you ideas and kind of fuels your creativity?
I like to go all in, full hog when I'm in immersion mode, And so it depends on the project I'm working on. One time I was working on a a project that wanted to kind of reinvent the Mediterranean diet. So I just was like, I'm gonna live that lifestyle for a month and like see what comes out of it. Or like, but if I'm working on more of a like a corporate rebrand, I will listen to like everything the CEO has ever done in terms of an interview. I get to know everyone's personality on the leadership team and then understand like, okay, because that usually, like if I understand the connection points between everyone's personalities, between like the CMO, the CEO, like the head of HR, whoever it is, then I'm like, okay, the kind of the meeting points of how they talk about themselves, how they talk about the problems they're solving, that's usually like the piece of the puzzle that should be expressed. That isn't. Just the way they see problems, I then try to like take that on and re-embody it. But yeah, I also just think like when I joined Koto, what I loved was everyone was kind of a strategist. Like, oh my gosh, like a puppy party. This is really cute. I wish everyone could see what was behind us. There's 10 dogs playing. Absolutely almost took out Zach. That's perfect. We needed that. This feels right.
Is it? Yeah, seriously. Yeah. I wish both of our dogs were here.
Mm-hmm. God, my dog Goose, he doesn't even like to walk. So he wouldn't be here. Yeah. He's my lap dog through and through.
Honestly, he would have been that might have been perfect. He could have just sat here.
He would have like.
But that's the thing. They always say never shoot with dogs or animals because they are just so hyper themselves and in the moment that they steal the spotlight. So
yeah, everyone's like.
Everyone would just be staring at Goose.
That's I can see that.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
How you stay inspired.
Yeah, I think just like talking to people and like basically it's like seeing every brief or whatever as what can this be? Mm-hmm. Then it's not work. It's just like you're excavating ideas. And like one of the junior designers when we were working on Uber Eats signed up to be a driver.
Really?
I was like, that's sick. Like just not like being like, oh, you gotta fucking work for Uber. Here I go. Let me just write some shit down. No, just being like, what would it actually be like to like be an Uber Eats driver?
Yeah.
And like find it interesting. It's like anything that is honest or real is interesting because like it exists. So someone's really into it. So it's like my job as a strategist is just to understand why anyone is into anything. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I love that because I love cults and I love like weird niche subcultures. So it's just the same thing.
For sure. I think, so it's kind of what you're saying of like being okay leaning in and getting curious about a project. I think that's so cool because, yeah, many people would just say, here's the brief. I'm going to go off.
Yeah.
Maybe like look on the internet a little bit,
right?
But not dive any deeper than that.
Right. The internet's great. And I've like, whatever, I'll use AI to be like, hey, here's the problem that I'm like trying to solve for. Can you give me really niche, like publication journals that will help me like unpack some ideas here? And then I'll find different authors and different like Substacks and different like journals that I wouldn't normally look to. And that's how I like to use the interwebs.
For sure. And I think AI as a writer, like I think there's a lot of fear around it. And obviously the environmental impact is really scary, but I think ultimately it's a tool that can help us deepen our knowledge and take away some of the tasks that are kind of weighing us down. And so I think the conversation needs to be like, not how do we avoid it, but how do we use it in a correct way that's responsible and supportive of our future.
Yeah. I am curious on your perspective there because then like, yeah, it's obviously pervasive already. Mm-hmm. And like, but I could name off a couple of bullet points right now that give me a key that I can tell when something is written by AI.
For sure.
And obviously we all can probably now, but like, I'm like, yeah. And it just takes like, to your point, it's like, that should be an input. And then you write something way more interesting with your own personality, your own sets of experience, your own like view on the world and your tone. And you can like, you can even then input those things into AI and it'll come out with something, but it just, it'll come out with something.
It's something. It is something.
It's something.
Yeah.
It's like kind of, but it's like, it is built for a, like as if a CMO was hobby. Because they're like, sure, but this kind of sucks.
I think I use it as a tool to kind of get my wheels turning. Like if I need a template for something, if I need just thought starters, I think that is where it comes in. But to your point, it's not going to replicate human creativity and human innovation. It's basically just taking the language already on the internet and rejumbling it and spitting it out how it thinks you want it. And so that's never going to be fresh and exciting and new.
Yeah.
But it might spark something that makes you write something better and stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of going back to inspiration, what things or people like fill your cup?
Anything that makes me slow down. I think about like my inner circle of friends, and they are people that I can healthy with them, but you can also be like your most childlike version with them, which is those two things could be hand in hand. I don't know. I get really inspired by people that talk about ideas instead of talking about other people or like other things that are happening. Like I like someone that just, thinks in ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. My friend Emma, she is an amazing psychotherapist. And she like, every time I'm with her, I just feel like my cup is full. And we met later in life and like, but every time I'm with her, we just pick up. There's no, I don't know. I just think especially female friendships for me play a huge role in my life. They are like the great love story of my life, I think, because it's just pure love and sport. And like every time I'm with her specifically, like we learn something about ourselves and like you're excavating something, you're working through something, but it's not like so heavy and deep. It's just like, oh yeah. Like, we're kind of going through life, we're going through parenthood, we're going through working as parents. And it's like, it doesn't have to be heavy. It can be light, but you can also be like constantly working through or for something.
I completely agree. I think female friendships are so important and beautiful. I mean, the reason we're here today. And so I love to hear you say that back. When I think about you, you're someone who I feel like is very intentional with your time. I feel like you are very particular about the projects and the people that you allow in your circle. And I think that's really special, especially as women. We're so used to saying yes and being like, I can fit this in, I can take this on, etc. And so I'm curious if that's something you do intentionally or kind of like how you like apply that filter to your life.
Thank you for saying that. I don't think anyone's ever said that to me, and that's like the highest compliment.
Really?
I think because I don't always see myself that way. Like I am kind of a yes woman, but no, I guess just over the past few years, I've learned that like you are who you hang out with, not whatever. It's like my mom saying it in my ear. But also life is short. Like we could literally die tomorrow. And it's not about like how you want to spend your last day. It's like, no, like what do you want to be known for? You're not going to be known for any relics you leave behind. Like I just read this article last night that was like all this shit that we accumulate. You're China, like whatever you have that's material.
You're Labubu's.
You're Labubu's. Which Labubu's, but I do love those. I love material things as well.
For sure.
But like literally all of that shit goes to an estate sale. Not even your kids will want it. And I'm like, that's such a good lesson of like, you'll be remembered for like the way you walk into a room, how you make someone feel. Like, and I also just learned that, I probably learned from experience, my own experience, that like being wishy-washy makes someone feel grabby. And like, no matter who they are, being kind of unclear about what your intentions are makes someone feel confused, obviously, but like also bad. Like, like you don't know how you want to feel about me, So just like being clear, just like, I think also having a child maybe this way, because I'm like, I got to be at home for nap time from 12 to 3, So that's just, it is what it is. And it's just kind of like a radical prioritization of your time. And then you just feel good at the end of the day. It's like, I want to do this. I want to be with you. I want to talk to you. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. Totally. And we appreciate that.
Sick.
I want to switch into your work as a doula.
Yeah.
Kind of touched on it. How did this come about in your life? And what prompted you to really start learning how to do this?
When I was in Brooklyn, I was in Williamsburg. Our office was across the street from Carriage House Birth, which is Domino, Kirk, Badgley's, and Sam Puggins and Lindsay. But these three doulas like came together and started this company and this group. And I started just like, I like ran into them so many times. I was like, whoa. Every time I I'm like approaching them and I'm like, I feel it. Like I feel like taken care of just by being around these 3 women. And I was like, whoa, that's so interesting. So I was like, what are they doing? And, you know, I don't know if I'm trying to excavate even why I did this, but I think I took the Enneagram and I was like, okay, I'm a 2, which I retook it and then I was a 7. We can talk about that later. But I took it, I was a 2. I was like, oh, I'm a people pleaser, you know, the caretaker, God. And I've had so much I've been trying to combat that my entire life. But as I was working in the agency world, I was just in my masculine so much. And I was just operating in this place that was interesting to me, but not necessarily native to me. And so I was like, I want to push that to extreme divine feminine, you know, and this felt like the perfect portal to do it in. And Sam Huggins, shout out Sam, she just changed my life. I mean, just listening to her talk and how she kind of wove in science and history with Earth and just made it really interesting and philosophical, but also so ultra caring. And it honestly, being a doula taught me how to take care of myself. And when I had a baby, I was able to kind of coach William, how to take care of me. Mm-hmm. And he did it. I didn't really even need to coach him because he kind of saw me doing all this and understood that yeah, when I'm going to be really clear about what I want and what I don't want. When I want visitors, I want water with lemon by my bedside, 24/7. It needs to be full, you know, yeah. I want protein cookies, all these things that just made me feel taken care of and great. And I was like, I want to teach. It's not necessarily just about taking care of other women, which I love doing that, but it's helping them understand how to teach the people around them how to take care of them. So that it's
say what they need.
I'm coming for 4 hours to just do your laundry, make you a meal, and hold your baby while you take a nap. That's the experience of a postpartum doula. It's more about okay, I'm gonna write some stuff down that people can do when they come and visit you and put it on the front of your door. And it's written by your doula, so you're not an asshole, you know?
Yeah.
But it's take the trash out, walk their dog. Don't just sit there and wait for them to host you. Yeah. You know? So it's all out of that learning helped me not, because I think when I'm in my weakest spots, I'm just kind of inward and don't know how to tell people what I need. And therefore we're all just awkward.
Having a doula, it's almost helping women assert boundaries.
Yeah.
In a way.
Exactly.
Because it's so much easier for someone else to be I am this hired person and this is what this person needs.
Yeah. Yeah. You might not even know that you do want a meal made for you, for 6 weeks straight.
Absolutely.
But you do.
Yeah. I've been reading a lot about emotional labor and how women usually take on most of the emotional labor of a household, you know, not just doing the chores, but also anticipating what people need, planning ahead, making play dates, things like that. Yes. And I think, like you were saying, being able to advocate for yourself for what you need, whether that's in a doula role or just as a person and a human in the world, is so important.
Yeah, it's so true. And I mean, I have to give so much credit to William. He just that deepened our relationship in a way that was so profound. Just knowing that just being surprised by how good he was at taking care of me, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's, there's not all hope is lost on men.
We love to hear that. I was going to ask, what has been the most profound or maybe unexpected thing that's happened to you being a doula?
I think it's I just kind of zoom in at this very transitional point in people's lives, and we're forever connected. So I think the most surprising, profound thing is I can be there for 48 hours and I will literally always know your child and you in the most intimate way possible. And that kind of sounds, I'm God, yeah, am I an intimacy addict? Was there something kind of messed up about me that I'm love that, you know? But I think there is. And I just Like I've gone to like all the birthday parties of all the kids that I've doulaed here. And it's not been that many. I think it's been like 5, but because I just do it on the side. I just get to go there and like, there's something I get to kind of like exist in this confident place where like, I know no one at this party. Okay. And I'm just like sitting there eating the like Publix cake. And not Publix, we're in California. That's Ralph's. Yeah, Vaughn's, whatever. It was a Cinderella cake. It was great. But, and just kind of like,
yeah,
I brought this baby into this world with this, I didn't. She brought this baby into this world. I was there though. And like, I'm forever connected to all these people because they're all so excited to see this kid.
Yeah.
You know, and we all feel connected. And so I think the profound thing is just community. It's like, I wanted to build community. I wanted a connection point, like a tether to people here. And that's the quickest way to do it.
I think we were talking about this before we started rolling, but how important community is. And I think, you know, having doulas or people support you in your birth is something that was very normal for most of history.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, we're living so isolated. We take on so much by ourselves, especially as women. We feel like we have to do everything. And actually, the most radical thing is offering and allowing help.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I think that was I think it was like a friend. Oh no, my neighbor, Angela. She's like, you know, I think she's 60. Sorry if you're younger, but she's so hot. So doesn't matter. Shout out Angela. She has an amazing Instagram that's like silver skates and she's like got gray hair and she like roller skates and she's amazing. Anyways, I lean on her a lot. And the thing that helps me, that she kind of helped me do this, because after I asked her to babysit, she was like, you have no idea how much I have to. And I'm like, thank you for saying that, because or else I'm just like feeling like I'm asking. She's like never asking anything today. But she's like, no, I need this in my life. Like she just sent her daughter off to college. She's like wants a tether and like wants kind of a new sort of purpose. Not that this is her purpose, but it's a factor of just being in community with your neighbors. You need to know your neighbors. That's my other thing. I mean, it's kind of hard if you live in an apartment building sometimes, not really, but I just have found a lot of like to learning how to give and take and do so comfortably by being in community with my neighbors. And they're all like 65-year-old women. So it's pretty sick.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Me too.
I would say now that you're back working in strategy, how do you balance that feminine energy with the more masculine energy?
Such a good question.
Is it constantly in flux, or is
constantly in flux? Yeah. No, I'm constantly like aware. I'm like, well, I'm not really thinking about like feminine, masculine. I'm just thinking about like, okay, I'm in this meeting. What do these people need from me in this meeting to be successful? Like, what do I need to do to be successful? But I do think that's the balance of like, you're presenting your work and that's kind of one mode. You're like in presenter mode, in literally like entertainer mode.
Yeah.
And then there's like, you're managing people where you're just sitting there listening and understanding how like what they need and how you can support them to be better. And so there's like, those are really the two modes of the job at like a certain level. And I think that's a perfect balance. Like I have to go in and do the work, which I'm like, no one talk to me. I need to figure this out. There's that mode where I'm like, okay, that's a separate thing. But then, yeah, presenting, that's kind of more masculine. I try not to make it, I don't know. I've got things to learn and figure out still of just how to balance the two bits. And yeah.
You kind of already talked about this, but can you speak to the importance of women in your life?
Yes. Yeah. I'm like trying to figure out why I'm such a freak about it, but my mom has been a jazzercise instructor for 45 years, and I recently read like an article in the local Sarasota newspaper about her, like just a picture of it. It was like 15 years ago, but there's just a picture of like all of these older middle-aged women working out together, but it's kind of a hard workout actually, but you know, it's not about the like, it's literally they like talk about their husband going through cancer. They talk about like their dog or parrot dying. They talk about like, you know, or like they just got their first grandchild. Like they're sharing life together. And my mom is like kind of just a vehicle for like the only reason she's done it for 45 years is like, she's like, these are like, this is my community. And so I just think that like I would die if I didn't have a strong female community. And every time I move somewhere new or take a new job, I'm just trying to find like opportunities to extrovert in, because I just think there's a lot that the world is taking from us or like needs from us. And just to like be together and be like, what's going on is just kind of the fuel to kind of like bring us back to homeostasis. So I think more than anything, like my recent learning is just like age gap female friendships.
Yes.
That to me, okay, there's a really interesting social experiment that is just done. Okay, it's called the pudding. I don't know what they do social experiments for. I'm gonna butcher this, so sorry for anyone who wrote this, but it was basically like they did this. They pulled 2,000 people together, and it was like they're all strangers, and they just put two people together, and they said just talk for 30 minutes. That's it. That's the brief. Just talk about anything you want to talk about. And so, people are like, what's this? But then by the end, they're like really close to this person. And, they find out that like, yeah, we're just always going to feel better after talking to a stranger. And like in this world of social, like we have such a, you think about like Hinge, it's just like bringing you together on similarities. But what about weak ties? Like the value of that in our culture today is kind of lost or gone. And the one thing that they did find was like if there was an age gap, people felt better at the end of the conversation. Both of them. Yeah. And so like it just goes to show like the learning that we can glean from an age gap is probably pretty obvious, and you're less likely to compare, which I think is pretty cool.
This reminds me very tangentially.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been seeing this a lot on social media where people who've researched whales were discovering that like humans and whales are the only species that go through menopause.
Whoa.
And they were trying to figure out why. And it's because the female whales are needed to pass down information. They need to live long enough to help, steward the next generation and pass down knowledge. And same goes for women. And I think that's so beautiful and special.
I did go whale. Have you ever seen a whale?
Yeah.
Yeah. I went whale watching in Cabo when I was like heavily pregnant. I thought I was going to be scary on the boat because there were so many balls. But I remember it was also with it was like a work trip. So it was like, I'm like, have a life vest on and I'm like 9 months pregnant and we're going whale watching. Yeah, it was a certain experience. But I was like overtaken, almost cried.
Yeah.
I was really pregnant. But I just remember being like, what the hell is going on with these animals? And it was seeing the babies and the moms and just the fact that they slapped their tails for play. I was like, I want to know more about them.
Yeah,
I love
for
to
sure.
go through menopause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Menopause freaks me out though. I need to learn a little bit more about it.
For sure.
I don't just absolutely have existential dread.
Yeah. Luckily there's time.
We've got time.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe not that much. Who knows?
Yeah. Switching back into strategy, can you speak to a specific project that you really loved or that you're really excited about?
Yeah.
And why?
We just recently did the GoFundMe rebrand and it's not out yet, so it's fine. And I just thought it was really interesting to work with these people who, GoFundMe is essentially like when systems fail, people help, and it was kind of like sad in the beginning. You're like, oh God, it's like only in America do people have to like start a GoFundMe for their surgery because healthcare is terrible.
Yeah. For school supplies.
Not great.
Yeah.
Bad actually. But I really enjoyed like just getting to think about like what makes that experience really powerful for someone. It's not about the money. It's actually about like someone caring and reading your story. And like, they donate $5. That means the world, it's just like, oh my God, I'm not alone. So it's like it to me is like the powerful connection of the internet and like in its most purest form, and getting to like build around that and be inspired by that. And like, it was also during the time so many natural disasters happened that affected me while I was doing this rebrand. It was like the Asheville floods, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law like were there and it was really terrible. And then it was like the hurricanes in Florida. My parents like lost a bunch of their property. And then it's like the fires in LA. I was like, geez, am I like bringing this on? But no, it's just climate change. So
yeah.
anyways, but it was like I got to see firsthand this tool that literally changes people's lives in like a matter of 24 hours. So it was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If people are interested in learning more about being a doula, maybe working with you, maybe even like learning about strategy and your studio, where can they go?
Oh my gosh, I need to make a website. Actually, I just saw that my Squarespace like went out. It's hard because like when you're at a job that you love, you don't update your
No.
So I have no presence online. I think it's like just go on my Instagram and DM me and we'll talk.
Okay. I think that's the eternal struggle of a creative.
Yeah.
Your portfolio is never up to date.
Yeah.
It's never quite good enough.
Nope.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
That is our boulder to push up a hill.
That's right. Let's do it.
And then lastly, we started this series as a way to connect, to network in a way that didn't feel forced or weird or uncomfortable. And so my challenge to everyone, my ask to everyone is for all my guests to connect me with their coolest friend to continue expanding my circle.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of already doing this because I'm talking to your husband next, but if you have another cool friend too.
I will. Trying to think. I've got funny. Yeah. I think you should talk to Megan Armstrong. Shout outs. How many shout outs have we had?
There's so many shout outs.
I think she would thrive in this environment. She left Koto and she like followed her passion. She started this really cool thing called Dredge. Her dad is actually like dredger, like on a boat.
What is that?
A big boat that dredges the bottom of the ocean for things.
Oh.
I don't know if it's for fish always. It might be like to make space for things that need to happen out in the middle of the ocean.
Sure.
Good and bad. I don't know, actually. But I like that the name.
But Megan knows.
To her. Yeah, Megan knows. She'll tell you. But she like pulls things from all of her travels and like finds really interesting items and objects that are beautiful lamps, like little trinkets. Very cool. She's got a like deep soul.
Love.
Yeah.
You love that.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Well, I mean, such a beautiful thing that you're doing. And thank you for giving me the space to just chat. Love you.
Love you too.